So people, welcome to episode 8. This episode is called Daddy Wasn't There. Now I have tried so many times to kind of just structure this and how I'm going to do it, but I've failed. So I'm just going to let it out. I'm born into a household with my grandmother and my grandfather on my father's side, on my mother's side, I'm sorry. My father and my mother are too young to take care of me. They gotta finish school, they got things to do. They were very young.
Well, I had Ricardo from a baby, from a month old. And I was grandma, mama, daddy, everything. And he was a beautiful child, loving, caring, and a little spoiled child because I spoiled him a lot.
The only father figures I had at that point in time would have been my grandfather on my mother's side, who was extremely abusive, and my grandfather on my father's side. He was everything to me. I spent a majority of my childhood wondering to myself, where's my dad?
He would say when he watched his friend, Timmy, and his father, together, he would feel a little jealous and feel a little unhappy because he don't have a father around. But otherwise, he kept most of the things inside, which up to now, he don't talk much. He kept things, he keep things inside.
I'm in a mess. I'm envious of my friends, and I'm just angry. So that leads me into a very destructive path as a young child going into a teenager. So I get out of primary school into secondary school, and it's trouble galore. I'm getting into all kinds of trouble because I don't really have the guidance, and my grandmother really can't tell me, what to do because it's grandma. No father there. I'm butting heads with my grandfather on my mother's side because he's been abusive and I'm not taking any abuse from him. So I moved to Florida to live with my father.
But he had a rough time and it bothered him for a long time. He was a very, very secret, unhappy child, unhappy teenager.
So I get there, and the first thing I ask my father is, why weren't you around? Like, what was the problem? And he gave me a story. And the story was rough. It made me not like my grandmother or speak to my grandmother for about a good 2 years. It made me not speak to my mother for a while as well.
That was a very sad and miserable time for me. That's when he went to Miami. He stopped talking to me. And I would call and call and call and call. Never answered me, or he was very cold. What was his reason again? I don't know. But I presumed, or I figured it out, that he was unhappy up there and going through a lot of things with his father, not being a father to him or being nice to him.
I am releasing music, and this guy pops up. He says he's my godfather. And he tells me, he just random, this is random. He just calls me and he says, man, I've been wanting to tell you something for so long. I see you doing your thing, so I want to talk to you. He's like, man, I wish your father was there more for you. So I asked him to explain what he meant. And he told me that, hey, I told your father one day that he needed to be more present in your life. And he said that he wasn't ready for that. So now that story that I hear now confuses me, because I hear one story here, one story here. My mother's telling me a story, and my father's telling me another story. Everybody has something different, which is why I'm telling this story, by the way, so that one day my sons could see it and understand whatever flaws that I might have had, I'm gonna put here. So I'm angry. I just say, you know what, whatever. My father, our relationship, it continues to break down. He kicks me out here. I throw a tantrum there. We act up. He doesn't want anything. I don't want anything to do with him. He doesn't want anything to do with me. And it just keeps going on until one day I decide enough is enough. I'm not going back. And that was a Christmas night, a Christmas Eve night. I go home, and granted, I did quite a bit of wrong within that time frame, but I go home on Christmas Eve only to be met, only to meet my bags and my stuff just packed at the front of the door or in my room, can't remember whatever it was. And we went at it. I think it was for some money or something like that. We went at it. And on Christmas Eve, he said enough is enough and he put me out. And I remember crying like a baby and telling myself, I will never ever do this to my children. I'll never be this way to my sons. Fast forward, I have 4 sons now. I try to be as present as possible in each and every one of their lives. I made it my mental note that if they have something special to do, if I'm touring and I can go home, I'm going home. Even if I don't sleep, if I have to just do it, I'm gonna do it. But my relationship with my first son is not as great as my relationship with my 3 sons. And that's because now his mother and I, we're butting heads. We have our differences and we just can't come to terms. So it's difficult for me to pick up the phone and call her because I just don't want to fight. I don't want to argue. And I'm not saying it's her fault alone. I'm saying we both had flaws in our relationship.
In 2007, we had our first son, Jaden, who is now 13. And he is the best thing that's ever happened. But we became parents and we could not agree on anything. I couldn't get on the phone and have a conversation with him. I just couldn't.
We're better now, but at that point in time it was difficult. So I am now in the same position that the story my father gave me. I'm not going to tell you the full details of it, but that was a story he gave me. And I'm now in the same position and I don't know what to do. So I'm here thinking to myself, shit, my first son is going to feel about me the way I felt about my father. What do I do about this? How do I go about this? His mother and I, we're still not seeing eye to eye, but I'm still trying. I'm still trying to be there as much as I can. But I'm not gonna lie to you, there are times where I'm just like, man, it's frustrating. How do I fix it?
There was a lot of things that we did not agree on. But I have to say, as the years have gone by and the older that we both have gotten, we've definitely have come to a time to where we can actually have a civil conversation. We can call one another or check, or text one another to check in, like, hey, how you doing? Is everything good? Before we couldn't do that. So I'm grateful and I'm thankful to be able to do that. I do know that we both can definitely agree on that we would do whatever it takes to do what's the best interest for Jaden.
I now have a daughter, so now I have 5 kids. And how do I spread out the time? Between that, between touring, between myself, it was really difficult. I would spend November, December, January, February, sometimes March in Trinidad promoting myself. April, May, June, based in Orlando, but traveling in between. June, July, August in Antigua. September, October back in Florida, but traveling in between. It was terrible. My sons would call every day, Daddy, when you coming home? Daddy, when you coming home? And now I'm in the same boat that my father is in, that I'm so angry, or was so angry at him for. I wasn't there. But they knew who I was. They had a relationship with me. So I tell myself, you know what? If I have to fly 15 hours to go to a football game, or if I have to fly 7 hours to do Christmas, half of the Christmas day with my sons, and then fly another 3 hours and do the other half of Christmas with my daughters, that's what I'm gonna, that's what I'm gonna do. My first son cries out to me, he says, Dad, I just want you to be there. I just want you to be there. And I hear him crying, but I'm still thinking to myself, how am I going to build this relationship with him? And his mother and I are we don't see eye to eye. I have to go through her to get to him. Eventually he gets his own phone and we start building communication little by little. And then boom, COVID hits. His mother's a nurse. And I become concerned because now she has to be around him. So I call. And we end up building this relationship. And our relationship has gotten stronger, it's gotten better. We're starting to understand each other more, and it then in turn is helping me build my relationship with my son even more. My other 3 sons, they're there. I support them just like I support my first son. I support my daughter like I support all of them. Now I want to take this time to say thank you to the mother of my first son, the mother of my next 3 sons, and the mother of my daughter. Because without them, a lot of things would have fallen through the cracks, and they have done a crazy great job of making sure that my children are well taken care of when I'm not there. So thank you to y'all. But I tell this story because a lot of times we as men get caught up in our own feelings and don't realize that our children are being affected, and now more than ever, we need to be as present as possible in our children's lives. We have to be. So I encourage all my brothers out there, no matter the race, you might have an issue with the mother, but that doesn't change the fact that you're the father of the child. Gotta be the father of the child. Put aside your feelings. Put aside whatever it is that you feel that you're going through, and know that the relationship with your child is more important. Daddy wasn't there. Thank you for watching, guys. For more content, for more information, for more videos, more stories, subscribe to my YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/Team Drew, and also follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter @ItsDrew, ITSDRUE.